Are you poor? Have you ever considered that maybe it's your own fault that you are? Have you considered passing up on the avocado toast for once? Oh, what's that? You don't eat avocado toast? Yes, you do. Stop it. I first thought of talking about this topic when this video popped up in my feed. Accountant explains, money habits keeping you poor. Now, right off the bat, I wouldn't guess most people are in the habit of staying poor. A habit is something you do deliberately and regularly. I'm in the habit of eating 3 times per day, or I'm in the habit of walking my dog at 2 p.m. Most people aren't in the habit of staying poor. It's often the result of something else. It's not something they're doing deliberately just for funsies. Now that something else might be something bad. Someone's buying name value stuff at Whole Foods instead of like great value brand stuff at Walmart. But to label poor people as a whole as at fault for their impoverishedness is a very dismissive and kind of hurtful blanket statement to make. So we're going to start by going through this video and talking about her points.
Number 1, paying yourself last. The way people pay their bills can be broken down into 2 types. The first way is the poor people's habit, and that is through paying yourself last. So as soon as your paycheck comes in, you then pay your rent, your phone bill, your subscriptions, you fund your social plans, and then you'll save whatever's left over, if there is even any money left to save. The second method he talks about is the rich people's habit, and they do the complete opposite. They pay themselves first, and that is what you want to do. Take 10% minimum and put that into your savings account the minute you get paid.
See, this advice only applies to people that can afford to do that.
A lot of people are probably thinking, there is no way I can do this. I live paycheck to paycheck. But the surprising thing is when you take that 10% and put it away, your mind will think of ways and structure your spending and structure your finances to last for the whole month. And you won't even realize that you're saving.
And the very valid I live paycheck to paycheck criticism that she just kind of glosses over is the reality for something like 2/3 of Americans. And it also doesn't take into account the skyrocketing cost of living over the past year. Even if I had an extra 10% to put away in 2021, with inflation going as crazy as it has, there's no way I have that same 10% to put away in 2022. Now, in her next point, she says to not be comfortable being in debt, which is good advice. And then she says to pay for everything in cash.
I have a straight rule. That is, unless I can afford to pay for that thing outright in cash, I shouldn't be buying it with any form of debt.
And this again presumes that I have enough money to be doing that. Just like the previous point presumed that I had enough money to just be putting away an extra 10% that I just kind of don't need anymore for some reason. Now, the advice that she gives in the video isn't necessarily bad advice, but it's advice that presupposes that you're able to follow it. But then if you're not, then you should feel shame for it. If I'm not financially able to do this, then suddenly it's my fault and it's a habit that's keeping me poor. Now, often these self-help business finance YouTubers have the attitude that anyone can make it. You just have to work hard. And while that is in part correct, it leaves out the very important factor of luck. I'm not referencing good luck or bad luck specifically, but rather more chance or coincidence. I, for example, am a white male with 2 middle-class married parents in the United States. I didn't control any of that. All of those factors are random chance, but they play a huge part in the fact that I was able to get a college degree and then get a good job because of that. That luck translated into me having a life that I'm able to enjoy. Another finance YouTuber, Joshua Mayo, put out this video, Why You'll Never Be Rich, and makes a bold statement at the opening.
For starters, you never make sacrifices. You're not willing to stop going out 2 to 3 days per week to have drinks with friends. You're not willing to stop watching Netflix or YouTube or scrolling through Instagram for 2 to 3 hours every single night. You're not willing to sacrifice your comfort right now by turning off the TV and setting your phone aside and then working on your dream.
Okay. But why should I have to? What changed such that I'm suddenly not allowed to have me time anymore to relax and do other things that I enjoy after work? Why did rest and recovery become such a tremendous taboo? Now, I'm not saying that Joshua Mayo didn't work hard to get where he is, but I am saying it was by essentially pure luck that this one video blew up about a year ago and got his channel started. I'm sure he gave up social things and sleep in order to write and edit and produce that video, but the reality of the situation explanation is that it was a bunch of ones and zeros in the form of the YouTube algorithm that decided to take his video and run with it. He didn't have any control of that. And in his most recent video, he says that he used to work for $15 an hour at a staffing agency until he realized something.
The thing that I realized was that every single one of us has a choice. We could either choose to just sit back and just go with the flow, you know, get a decent job with benefits, go home, eat dinner, numb your mind with useless TV shows or video games, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, get a paycheck, drive home, eat, TV, sleep, over and over and over again until you die.
Okay, but what's wrong with that? Ignore that he tries to make it sound like all of that is the worst thing in the world. A life where you go to a job that you're comfortable with and then spend the rest of your time doing things in life that you enjoy is a good life. He's trashing on what almost everybody in America does daily and then saying they should feel bad for it. There's nothing wrong with a comfortable job that gives you a comfortable life and allows you to enjoy other things in that comfortable life. I like my job a lot. It's a good job that allows me to do things like spend time with family and friends and my dog and play video games and watch Netflix and go on walks and go to the gym and all the other things that I enjoy doing. These are all good things, and to aspire to have a life that you enjoy that doesn't have some sort of crazy risk-reward balance that you have to keep working on, but that you are allowed to do most things you want kind of whenever you want, is not only a good thing, I would argue that's the best thing. Joshua, if we all took your advice and got off our phones and went out there and tried to make something of ourselves, who would watch your videos? We would all be on that grind set mindset while ignoring all the pleasures in life, like watching your videos, as we tried to start our own finance channels and drop shipping or what have you. Your business hinges on people like me who enjoy watching videos casually. And if we all decided to no longer do that because we're all lost in the matrix and dumb sheeple just following someone else's dream, then your business vanishes overnight. Anyway, he goes on to say you should open your eyes and stop being the cog in a machine that makes someone else rich, even as he is a cog in the YouTube machine that makes a board of directors rich. But let's not get caught up in the semantics. See, this entire video is telling you that you basically have a choice in order to change your life. And that's not necessarily bad advice. But then it implies that if you don't or can't do that, then it's your fault that you're broke and where you are, and you should feel shame for it. But starting a business and going out on my own is terrifying. Why does everyone think I have to make that leap of faith in order to be happy? For everyone like Joshua that worked hard, got lucky, and accomplished their dreams, there are thousands of people that worked hard, didn't get lucky, failed, and lost everything. To be happy and comfortable, why should I have to risk everything? It worked great for Joshua. But Joshua didn't have a wife or kids or old parents he had to take care of. And he clearly had some money saved up since he was able to jump ship from the place that he used to work and tread water until this big YouTube dream ship came along, and the analogy fails, but you get what I mean. If the only way to make my dream come true is to YOLO everything and then hope that I have enough money to feed my family at the end of the month, then the system is very broken. If you want more, then go for it. But don't let anyone shame you for being where you are and enjoying life how you like it. Now, I realize not all finance YouTubers are poor shaming, but if you're not poor shaming, then you're probably clickbaiting. If you're into finance YouTube, you've probably heard of Stephan. He's the YouTuber that toured Elon Musk's tiny house. Except he didn't. He actually only went to the factory where it was manufactured several months ago. But nonetheless, he's the YouTuber that bought the $45 million Los Angeles mansion. Except he didn't. He actually just went on a tour of that mansion. But regardless of that, he's the YouTuber that bought a bank. Except he didn't. He actually was just a kind of early investor in a bank startup that he doesn't even own. Are you seeing a pattern here? Now, I think clickbait is a bit silly, and personally, I won't click on any video that I think might be clickbait, purely out of principle. But I usually don't have an issue with other people doing it. They can do what they want, and as long as they're not outright lying, I'm not that worried. But finance, I think, is different because it has real-world ramifications. But to understand that, let me give you a super quick economics lesson. Economic models often function under the assumption that everyone is rational. For example, an economic model might predict that a red Ferrari is the same price as a white Ferrari because they are functionally identical, with the only real difference being the color. And the color doesn't really add or subtract anything, so people should be willing to pay the same price. But often in products, cool colors like black or red tend to be more expensive. expensive because people are willing to pay more based solely on aesthetics. Conversely, think of shoe sizes. A size 16 should cost more than a size 12, say, because there's more material in the size 16 than there is in the size 12. However, they're almost always the same price because people expect them to cost the same. And that's because people aren't rational. They view the products as identical, so they're only willing to pay an identical price. Now let's expand this example to Facebook's Meta and Tesla. Now, Meta became very unpopular in the public eye, and as a result of that, their stock price tanked to its lowest in almost 10 years, despite the fact that they were still making tens of billions of dollars. In fact, in the fourth quarter of 2022, they actually beat their projections, and since then, their stock price has been skyrocketing. And that's because people didn't base their initial selling on rational thought, but rather on the fact that they didn't like the company or thought it was cringy that they were pouring so much money into the metaverse. Which is fair, because Meta absolutely sucks and you should delete Facebook. But the opposite thing happened with Tesla. Tesla produces very few cars relative to Toyota or Honda or the other major car brands. Tesla produces about 1 million per year, and all the other car brands produce tens of millions of cars per year. Despite this, Tesla was valued at far more than these companies were, even though it wasn't nearly as productive or consistent as they were. Now, bringing this back to finance YouTubers, people react to what they see and think, and not necessarily to what is rational and true. So if people are seeing these crazy clickbait thumbnails like the next market crash and the Fed crashed the market and the worst collapse in 50 years, how do you think they're going to react? Recessions happen for lots of reasons, but one of those reasons is that people think a recession is going to happen. If I think a recession is going to happen, then I stop buying anything that's not absolutely essential and I start hoarding money in the bank. That action is actively bad for the economy, and if enough people do it, then it's so bad for the economy that it enters a recession. Now, this kind of recession fear-mongering is incredibly successful because it, 1, plays on our fears, 2, it makes a lot of money, and 3, there just aren't any consequences for if you do it and you're wrong. Stephan and other YouTubers like him can clickbait titles till the cows come home, and there's no one to stop them. And it sucks because business and finance is a fascinating industry. People like The Plain Bagel talk about interesting, relevant, modern finance ideas or business news without any clickbait or fear-mongering or sensationalism. But so much of finance YouTube is gatekept by this heartless poor shaming or this shameless clickbaiting, and I really just wish it would all just stop. Before you go, if you like this video, you'll probably like that one, and I'll catch you next time.